in the last couple of years?
Well, we work with a band called the Ruin Brothers. Rick Rubin produced their debut record. They're from Scunthorpe, England, but they live in Brooklyn. Amethyst Kia, she's from Johnson City, kind of a Odetta baritone singer.
Where were the Everybody Fields from? Were they from that area?
Johnson City, Tennessee.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yep. And then we recently signed Sierra Farrell, who was just on WBTV a few weeks ago. She's from the wild and wonderful West Virginia.
Young.
Pretty young, great singer, a lot of talent. All three of those bands, they're out doing it.
Yeah. Listen, if they're under your stable, I imagine they are out doing it, because I remember that band you had called the Avett Brothers. You damn near worked them to death. That when you guys first signed with Dolph, you were on the road all the time.
Mm-hmm, we were.
But that's good. I was thinking the other day about I don't think it was the first time you ever played Spirit Square, but early in my association with you, you played Spirit Square, and I went down there. And that was back in the days when you guys were tearing up equipment. I mean, demolishing equipment. But that was kind of what your reputation had been. And you were coming off the Nemo days back in those days?
We were, yeah. We attacked it.
So you were still kind of thinking we want to be a rock and roll band, but...
Yeah, I think we really wanted to earn our
chops.
Yeah, and I think it's surprising that people wanted to see that. But
that's kind of what got your original reputation, because those people knew your songs and your lyrics. Then when they showed up for concerts, they were every bit as enthusiastic about your shows as the people are today. You just have more of them today.
Yeah, which is proof that talent isn't always what people attract to. Are attracted to. I think it was our authentic selves. Seeing someone do that and be the loudest self that they can be. I think that's what we were doing. I'm pretty sure. I don't know that we weren't. Seth was singing pretty well, but my singing has improved over the years. I know that for a fact.
But you guys play 10 times better than you did back in those days. I mean, you guys are really, really good, and you do it every day for 200 and some odd shows a year. You're gonna get really good.
It's gonna get better.
Do you ever go back and listen to songs and wish you could do them over again? You're kind of a perfectionist, so do you dissect?
Nope, I sure don't. I think they're exactly how they should have been. If we ever re-record songs, it'll be for the fun of re-recording them again, but not to fix it. There's nothing to fix.
One of the dynamics of the band that's changed recently is Bonnie's in it.
She is our sister.
And this is your sister, and she had sung the original Swept Away, if I remember correctly, because I always wanted to hear you guys do that with Emmylou Harris.
Yeah. Don't tell Bonnie that.
No, well, I won't now. But she's fit right in. I sat there and watched her at Red Rocks, and first thing I thought of was her family and how they reacted to that. So how did that all come about? Because I knew you needed a keyboard player at that point.
Yeah. Well, we want any band additions to be sincere and to be real. It wasn't just let's go pick the best out there studio musician. But after Paul left, Bonnie came out to just join us for a few weekends, and Bonnie's a really great piano player. She's really, really talented, and she's getting better and better even. And then watching Willie Nelson with Bobby, you start seeing sort of how the family band really, really works, and see how it's proof that it works for long, long periods of time. And that bond, is it's natural. It's not by choice. We didn't design this. This was designed by something bigger. So that's a beautiful reality.
I had a picture down on my desk for a long, long time of you guys playing with Willie. And now you join this Outlaw Tour thing from time to time.
Yeah, we've done several mini shows, yeah.
So you've kind of gotten to know him and stuff. Is that to talk to me about playing with Willie? I don't think you don't really see him until you get on stage, do you?
That's right. Now we have spoken to him off stage, but we rely on that time. And then when we were on those shows with Willie, at the end of the night, we get on stage with him and share those 3 songs with him, the gospel tunes, and he just grins. He's never not smile. When you look over there, it's like, I mean, it is the most loving, gaze that you could get from a human being.
And somehow or another, we got to know Mickey Raphael through the years.
Yeah.
In fact, it was his wife that was one of the executive principals with Greater Media that used to own us, and that's how we got to know Mickey.
Okay.
And now I can pick up the phone and call Mickey anytime I want. And but I thought it was a kick to see you guys playing with Mickey one night, because he took the harmonica and turned it into a symphonic instrument. He's unbelievable.
There's nobody like him, one of a kind. And you're right, he's a friend to anyone that he knows. He's become a good friend for sure.
Dolph, remind me how you met the Avett brothers and how and how early were you in your agency at that point?
It was early on. David Childers told me about them, and then my mom had read an article in the local Concord paper about the brother. I think y'all had gone across country, just you and Seth kind of playing, and that's kind of how it all started. I reached out to Scott and went to go see him at a place called the Wine Vault at the UNCC area.
Didn't you guys play a coffee shop right down the street from here once?
I was telling Dane as we pulled in, every Thursday night we would play, usually for no one, and the owner would give us milkshakes and let us collect tips, and we just made it a practice night. And sometimes, 6 or 15 people would show up, and we'd play for them, same songs over, and sometimes we'd repeat songs 3 or 4 times just to perfect them.
I think that building's gone now,
It's
but
still
it used
there.
to.
No, it says
it?
Tattoo Parlor. It is still there.
Oh, that's where
we
it
knew
was.
The owner's way. It was in that room. Yep.
Wow.
Right beside the tattoo parlor was a coffee. It says coffee and tattoo. We were in the coffee part of it.
And I guess we'll never see you at Manifest Records and Tapes again, will we?
Well, maybe. might go over there and do a little shopping.
I remember
after that.
rushing out of here one night, 9 o'clock or something like that, and speeding down South Boulevard to catch you guys. And by the time I got there, you had just ended. But the first time I ever met your dad, you were playing Manifest, and he came up and introduced himself to me, and that started a great friendship that I've had.
Totally.
Yeah.
You just said that. I remember pulling up to a restaurant with Rick Rubin in California, and there was a group playing on the porch of the restaurant, stand-up bass, banjo, guitar, and I said to Rick, this was probably 2013 or so, I said, man, I miss those days. And he said, why aren't you doing them? He said, what's stopping you from going to play on a porch? I was like, oh, yeah.
What is?
Yeah. What's going to stop me from playing at Manifest?
Did you guys watch Ken Burns' country music special?
I have not seen it yet.
I just bought it, so but I saw enough of it on TV. I thought it was. I was a little disappointed that when they talked about the Carter family, they didn't talk about WBT, Homer that I am.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty interesting, and a lot of North Carolina artists that are a part of the big history. Randy Travis, because I remember you guys playing with him at one point, and I thought that was a pretty cool deal.
Yeah.
So
I remember the day we talked. Me and you talked the day they played the Opry for the first. Well, y'all have only played it once, I think, Grand Ole Opry, and that was a big. You were asking Bob about big day. That was a big day. I just can still remember that.
I would never do this again, but and Scott won't remember this, but you guys were coming off the stage at the Grand Ole Opry on your first play, and I called you on the phone, and you answered.
Heck yeah, I did. John Hancock was calling me.
And I said, man, that was just the coolest thing. You just played the Grand Ole Opry. But I've thought about that 100 times, thinking, okay, well, as soon as they finish this last song at Red Rocks, I'm calling Scott.
I don't know if this is crazy, but it feels and it felt good to be part of this legacy. It's.
Every now and then, I asked you a little bit earlier, Madison Square Garden. I mean, is that almost too big when you play it the first time? Or you just you don't like to look at anything as too big. You like to look at it as another date.
I was born to play those. I was born to play Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
I believe that. I believed it when I was 8 years old. I just was going to do those kind of things.
You said that to me at the Hall of Fame night, the WBT Hall of Fame night. I made reference to the point that I wanted to put my picture in the picture show. I wanted to be a player on a radio station someplace. And you said to me, yeah, I wanted to be famous when I was a kid too. And I thought to myself, because sometimes you feel guilty about wanting to be famous. But there's nothing wrong with that.
Nah. Everybody's got it in them.
Yeah. Hey, one of the great joys of my life is, and I mean that sincerely. First of all, to know all you guys, and Dolph, I consider you a close friend.
Well, I appreciate it, John.
But to have met you guys as early as I did, and then be able to watch you go where you've gone in the last 20 years, God, what a great view I've had.
You gave us a great gift, John, to allow us to come on here and play. I love you, John.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for that.
You're nice to say that, but I think you'd have probably done what you did without me.
No, I don't know.
I don't know about that.
So I don't know.
Let's say we wouldn't have.
Scott Avett, okay, I'll tell that to all my friends too. There'd be nothing without me. Scott Avett and Dolph Ramseur and Bob Crawford, thank you for coming in on my last day. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, John.
What an honor.
Over to the traffic center we go in Boomer Von Cannon. All right, well, that was fun. Dolph Ramseur and Scott Avett and Bob by phone. Seth would have been with us, but he's not sure where he is. He's halfway between Arizona and New York and Concord, North Carolina, is to the best of my understanding. Mark Washburn is a guy who writes for the Charlotte Observer, used to write for the Charlotte Observer, has become a good friend of mine over the years. Has written some unbelievably nice things. He wrote an article about me one time, and he described the show as Stream of Consciousness Radio. And I don't know that there had ever been anybody who had really quite defined what I thought we did. I was always at kind of like when we talk about Scott Avett back in the early days and trying to put a title on the Avett Brothers and what were they? Are they a bluegrass band? Are they a rock and roll band? What are they? So Stream of Consciousness Radio seemed to make a lot of sense to me. So after I announced my retirement a couple of months ago, I got an email from Mark Washburn, and this was before they wrote the piece in the Charlotte Observer. And he said, Charlotte is a city that punches above its weight in so many ways, including its ability to attract top-notch radio talent for many decades. John has often been listed in the top 100 talk show hosts nationwide by trade media. Following John's career is a bit like watching a coin laundry dryer. It spins up and down, yet the product always seems to emerge fresh and crisp despite the heat and the tumble. His kind is rarely seen in the medium, and his ability to bond in a single city and have that city bond to a wayward outsider is rarer still. What works against John and the radio is also the very thing that works for him. He is an absolute unmade bed in an industry that preens to suspicious processed goods. He listens. His listeners hear themselves in his voice, though, and they always come back for more. If I'd have written that myself, and I wouldn't be capable of probably writing that myself, I'd have been pretty proud of that. I got an email this week from H.A. Thompson, and we've made a lot of noise about taking over and having it perceived that I had replaced H.A. Thompson. And H.A. wrote me and said, I got canned and John sat in the chair and warmed it for 20 years. And if I came back, I couldn't fill his chair. I couldn't sit in his chair, excuse me. He wore it out. Somebody asked me if I would go back. Have no fears. I'm not coming back. Remember what happened to Bert Parks and Dick Clark? WBT is the best radio train on the planet, and we both appreciate it. And the Hall of Fame honors, because he's a member of the Hall as well, bestowed on both of us. So those are just some of the listener emails. I can't even begin to tell you that some of the listener email that I've gotten has just been stupendous. Now then, who's going to drive you home? I have no idea who they're getting to replace me. Not a clue. But I'll tell you, be nice to him. Even when you don't like him to begin with, give him some time.
Who's gonna tell you when it's too